if you have like a 45-year-old man dating a 30-year-old, it doesn't really seem like much of a difference, really.
Yeah.
Depending on how people take care of themselves, of course. But then you get a little older and you've got like a 55-year-old woman dating a 70-year-old man. Now, all of a sudden, that seems kind of like a bigger gap, doesn't it?
Yeah. And does it feel like that gap because of the age or how much older someone would be at 70 at that point in time in life compared to a
Yeah.
55-year-old?
Right? I mean, seems to be 55, which is older than I am now. But I mean, to date a 70-year-old, like I would never even think of that.
Yeah.
So, but people who are dating at that, the woman's 30 and the man's 45 right now, that's where they're going to be. And, I think a lot of men, when they get out of a marriage, they get out there and like, okay, I'm going to get on my online dating profile. What is my age bracket? And so say the gentleman's like 50 years old. So he would probably put 30 or 35 to maybe 50, maybe 53 or something. Most men aren't going much older than a couple years older than their own age.
Yeah.
And then they, see who's interested. And I think part of that is great if, they just want to go out and have fun. But if you're really looking for a partner, there's some differences that people need to really be thinking about before they jump in and do that.
Do most people have an age range, do you think, that they're looking for?
Well, you have to. You're going to fill out an online dating profile. But I think if you're just out in the wild dating, you're maybe just thinking who are you attracted to? And now people take such great care of themselves that people can look much more attractive at older ages now than maybe in the past.
I see that with both men and women. In fact, I was playing golf with a gentleman 2 days ago, and the way he was moving, walking, his flexibility, the way he was swinging the club, like he was an impressive man, and he was strong. You could tell that whatever he did for work or maybe he exercised it, he was a strong man. And I got to talking to him, and he's like, I just turned 80. And I would not have guessed that, but it's because of the work he's put in to take care of himself. But the flexibility and the strength and the way he was able to move. I just told him, I said, hey, I hope when I'm your age that I move and have strength like you do. I was thoroughly impressed.
Right. And, but if he was dating, say, a 65-year-old woman, she's probably going to still be a little bit more agile and, in her senses, because it's not just our body we have to worry about. We have to worry about our mind. And I think there's a lot of pressure put into a relationship when you're with somebody so much younger that you need to consider. So if you actually are in a relationship and you get married, or you just, lifelong companions, that, that pressure of one, wanting to know like why, knowing this person's actually there for you and not for your bank account, right? Because there's always going to be somebody that comes along probably with a bigger bank account, right? So you don't want that kind of hanging over your head, like what's going to happen if, somebody else comes along.
Yeah.
Then there's also the opportunity for somebody to come along who is younger, better looking, more fit, better sex, or whatever, you have that competition too. So you really have to be confident in the relationship to, I think, be successful long-term, having that age gap. And we're just talking like 10, 15 years, where a lot of people are dating more than that. And that's where it gets really tricky. And I did have a friend that had a 25-year gap, and talking about somebody that, he took great care of himself. He was in his mid-50s. He was dating somebody who was 30. And you wouldn't look at them and think, oh, wow, look at the age difference. Like he could be her dad, which he could be. But the problem that they ran into is they actually jumped in. I don't know if they had the conversation about, hey, do you want to have kids or not, before they kind of fell for each other. But they had a relationship, they fell in love, and she really wanted to have a family. He didn't. He already had kids that were out of the house, was already fixed. So I don't know if maybe they thought each of them were going to change their mind, which is a really bad idea to get into any relationship and have, that idea, because most times people don't. And so after a year or so, they end up breaking up, going their separate ways, because she wants to have a family and her time clock is ticking. And you feel kind of bad for situations like that. But at the same time, you have to be doing your homework really before you get into it.
Yeah.
Before you invest all that time and energy in your heart.
I think my big fear with, let's say I were to, get married to someone who's 15 to 20 years younger, like I wouldn't want to be a physical burden on them as I get older if I start to have health issues or if I have issues with my mind. Like I wouldn't want someone to be burdened with having to care for me and disrupt their life. Like that would be something I would have great fear of.
Right.
Someone
It would be
having
a
to
lot
take care of
cheaper.
me.
It would be a lot cheaper than a 24/7 nurse, Chad.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
yeah, but I hear what you're saying, and that I mean, people have to be thinking about these things, although it's hard to imagine that when you're, 30 years old dating a 45 or 50-year-old.
But don't you think too that people's interests change too? Like, the things I desire in life are different today than they were, 25 years ago. Maybe when you're younger, you would never consider dating someone who's older, or that you would date someone younger as you get older. But as you get older, things change, and so what you desire or what you're looking for in a relationship might be a little bit different. The old stereotype, of course, is that the older man's looking for, the physical benefits of dating someone significantly younger, and that maybe the lady's looking for financial security or whatever.
Right.
But that's not always the case. But maybe your interests, they change with time for all of us, right? So you might find something stimulating about dating someone who's older or younger based on your situation.
Right. And I have friends who have younger girlfriends, and I think their viewpoint is, they're young at heart. So this is kind of like the age they identify with.
Yeah.
And so that's not to say that a woman in their age range wouldn't also have those same abilities to be youthful. But obviously it's easy to gravitate to a younger person if you're just looking at photos online or something like that too. And I think it also makes the guys kind of like arm candy, right? To have a younger woman on their arm.
Yeah.
But the one thing with that is, being careful, because other women, if, it's a phase, let's say, you're just going out having fun, and then you want to settle down eventually with somebody more in your age range.
Yeah.
Some women might think twice about you if they knew that you were out of the gate, dating somebody that much younger. That might be a turnoff for them. So that's something to think about.
I wonder it's, you probably can't put a number on what is too much. I just wonder too, like if you get to a certain point where there's a large gap, well, then all of a sudden, when I grew up or when they grew up, like your life experience is just
Right.
different, right? So like it would seem to me that it would be hard to connect on, a lot of different things,
So
pop
many things.
culture,
Right.
your family experience, the things you have interest in, what you grew up with, what you didn't grow up with. Like it would seem at some point that would become,
Right.
a part of the issue.
And it's kind of a constant reminder that you're getting old, right? Because somebody's next to you saying, what? Who's that? Like, who's Ozzy Osbourne? Or, so you have to be considerate of that as well. But yeah, it's harder to have a conversation, I would imagine, with somebody. I've only dated somebody a couple times, 7 years younger. And so that wasn't such a huge gap for me. And I was, in my 40s or in my 30s, those different times. But those people had to be mature for me to even be attracted to them,
Yeah.
and more than their age.
Well, this past week's a perfect example. We lost, you and I had, grew up in the same time frame. Hulk Hogan passed away. We lost Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was a part of the Bill Cosby show. We lost Ozzy Osbourne, Chuck Mangione, like all these different people that you and I know because we grew up with them. But if you talk to someone, who's a 20-something,
Right.
they may not even know who they are.
Just staring at you like, what?
Yeah.
Who are you talking
Yeah,
about?
who are these people you're
Yeah.
referring to?
Yeah.
So if someone came to you, like let's say it's a friend or someone came to you for, counsel, who was considering entering into a relationship where there's that larger gap, younger or older, like what are some of the things that you would have them consider before entering into a relationship where you can end up falling in love or it becomes more serious?
Right. Well, I think having a straight conversation about, how do you want to live your life? Like, where do you see yourself? Because if it's somebody like my friend who had a woman who wanted to have children, well, that's kind of a deal breaker before you even get started, right?
Yeah.
So you got to kind of just dive into that quick and not waste anybody's time. But I think besides that, walking through like, okay, well, I'm 55 right now. So, I'm going to be retiring from my career in 5-10 years. And I'm going to be wanting to travel. So, the woman might have children at home that she can't do that, or she has a job. So, is he going to support her so she can travel? Like having those conversations, or is she going to be home and he's going to go off travel with friends? That's a serious lifestyle consideration to make if you're at that age where you're ready to move into another chapter and you're with somebody who's in a completely different place in their life.
Yeah. Yeah, the retirement thing's real, right? Like if you're getting closer to retirement age, you decide to shut it down, but your spouse is still working and pursuing their career, like time-wise, that could be disruptive as well.
Right, totally. And I would really want to know that this person really loved me. and they didn't just love what I brought to the table as far as, the vacations and the gifts and the house, on the hill or whatever, like that they really wanted to be with me because that would feel really crappy, I think, to be with somebody and realizing at any point in time they could, elevate by going to another relationship, or if, that man lost whatever it was that he had that she wanted, that she would be gone too.
How would you ask that? I mean, those are difficult questions to
Well,
ask. Is
it's
that kind of
having
where
an
you lean on your
authentic
senses?
relationship, really,
Yeah.
like being able to look the person in the eye and think this person really adores and respects me. I think guys can have an inkling for the way the behavior that woman has with him if
Hmm.
she's there, for the blazer floor tickets and the nice dinners, or is she there because she really laughs at his jokes and loves his company? So, having that hard conversation with yourself and not fooling yourself because of her, googie eyes while you're, whining and dining her.
Have you developed pretty good intuition in terms of someone's motives over the course of time?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I try not to jump to conclusions about people because you can make easily a judgment of a scenario of two people and
I've done
guess
that
why they
before.
might be
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
right? But then you can get to do that and you can actually see some people together and be like, wow, I really see their connection. So, yeah, I try not to jump to conclusions like that. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard not to, right? Especially when you're talking about like 50 years. That's a tough one.
Yeah. We all jump to conclusion on
Yeah.
Bill Belichick and his girlfriend, and maybe they truly enjoy
I mean, that's
each
his
other's company.
he probably has granddaughters, right? Like, that's just like super creepy.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it is. To most people, most females who listen to the show who have reached out, they find it a little bit creepy.
And of course, you can see a guy at that age being
I mean,
like,
if my
oh,
daughter was dating someone 50 years older, I would have concern.
yes, right? I mean, can you imagine having him over for like holidays and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, I think that's crazy amount of years. Even 20 or more is, I think, a tough sell. But a lot of people, look at Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. Like, that seems to be, from the outside, of course, what do we know? But, they seem to be really be in love. And clearly, they've stuck it out through all these years in Hollywood. So,
what is the biggest concern? Is it the physical side of it with the health as people age? Is it the difference in, stages of life you're in? Like, what do you think is the biggest stumbling block there?
yeah,
To
I think
consider?
it's that. I think it's being with somebody and you're 55, 60, and you're with somebody who is having a hard time getting out of their chair. Like, and, like your friend, the 80-year-old, everyone doesn't have to have that life as
Yeah.
they get older. If we start taking care of ourselves when we're younger.
But sometimes physical ailments can happen even if you do take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That happens when we get older.
And mental is a little bit harder to control. They are saying some studies with our diet. I mean, we can maybe push out dementia and things like that. But, you can't really have as much control, I feel like, for your mental capacity at that age. And yeah, so I think that you would feel guilty, like you're saying, to have somebody that you loved and cared for having to change your diapers.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be handy, but it's probably not how you want to have your relationship, especially when they have so much life to live.
Yeah. I mean, heck, Coach Prime at Colorado, Deion Sanders, he just had surgery and had a press conference where he had his entire bladder removed to take care of cancer. And he's going to be okay. He's got a clean bill of health and he's going to continue coaching. But that significantly is changing, like, bathroom habits and different things that he talked about. And he was trying to be open about it to say, hey, I know there are other people struggling with this. But again, those are things that, if you're in a relationship, those things become real issues,
Right. And how beautiful, though, to have somebody that loves and wants to help you and take care of you. It's such a wonderful thing. But it also would be a true test if somebody was with you for other reasons.
Yes.
That they might think it's a good time to exit.
All right. Do you want to give out the website or do you want to wait on that? That's your choice.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So CelesteTrapp.com. It's CelesteTrapp. And on there I have date coaching, Chad.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And you're building something. So you got your book coming. Coaching is coming. Like, I see things moving in the right direction
Yeah,
for you,
it's
which is
fun.
terrific.
It's definitely fun.
All right, good.